Strong, authoritative, empathetic but realistic American prep school basketball sells one very specific, very expensive idea to parents. It's pitched as the ultimate antidote to the chaos of modern youth sports. They sell you structure. They sell you smaller class sizes, elite coaching, and a safer, smarter, meticulously paved path straight to a Division I college basketball scholarship. On paper, it sounds incredibly responsible. It sounds mature. It sounds like the exact opposite of the wild, unstructured circus of the AAU circuit. But for thousands of families every single year, prep school basketball isn't a solution. It's a trap. It's just AAU with a massive tuition bill attached. And by the time parents realize what they actually paid for, the check has cleared, the season is over, and the damage is already done. Welcome back to NBA's Hidden History. Today we are pulling back the curtain on the multi-million-dollar prep school machine. We're going to look at the money, the broken promises, and the players left behind. Because to understand why this system is failing so many kids, you have to start with what prep school basketball was originally meant to be, and how it quietly, ruthlessly evolved into a profitable meat grinder. Prep school basketball didn't start as a shortcut to the NBA. It didn't start as a way to build a personal brand. It started as a safety net. Originally, prep programs existed for a very narrow, specific group of players. They were built for late bloomers who needed to physically mature, academic non-qualifiers who needed to boost their GPAs to meet NCAA eligibility requirements, or kids who simply needed one extra year of development before stepping onto a college campus. In the early 2000s, there were fewer than 50 well-known, highly respected prep basketball programs nationwide. Most of these were tied closely to prestigious, deeply accredited academic institutions. The model back then was simple and effective. Smaller rosters, giving every kid a chance to play. Practice over play. More time spent in the gym learning fundamentals than traveling on a bus. Academic supervision. Actual teachers holding athletes accountable. And for that small, targeted group of players, it worked beautifully. It was a developmental environment. But as the college recruiting landscape accelerated, fueled by the internet and social media hype, prep basketball changed, and it changed fast. By the late 2000s, the number of U.S. prep programs exploded from a few dozen into the hundreds. Suddenly, anyone with a gym and a sponsor could call themselves a prep academy. Many of these new institutions weren't traditional prep schools at all. Some operated with non-standard accreditation. Some relied entirely on online coursework that athletes clicked through in their spare time. Others had academic requirements that were far looser than the local public high schools these kids had just left behind. At the exact same time the quality of education plummeted, the costs skyrocketed. Today, families are paying anywhere from $25,000 to over $90,000 per year for tuition, housing, and fees at elite prep academies. And remember, this is often on top of the money they are already spending on AAU travel, private trainers, and gear. For comparison, that prep school tuition is often more expensive than 4 years of in-state public college tuition in many states. So, what exactly are these parents paying for? They are paying for a buzzword: exposure. Prep schools market massive national schedules, appearances on ESPN, and shiny college placement rates. Some programs openly advertise how many players they've sent to Division I schools, but they conveniently leave out the actual statistical reality of the sport. Let's look at the numbers. They are sobering. The basketball reality concrete numbers: high school boys players, U.S., approximately 540,000 annually. Players reaching any college level, approximately 18,000 players. Reaching Division I, approximately 4,500, and percentage reaching D1 less than 1%. Every single year, over 500,000 boys play high school basketball in the United States alone. Only about 18,000 of them will go on to play at any level of college basketball. Roughly 4,500 will reach Division I. That is less than 1%. Prep schools don't dispute these odds. They just reframe them to weaponize a parent's hope. Instead of saying, "the odds are incredibly low," they pitch, "our program improves your chances." Instead of admitting that most kids won't make it, they point to the one 5-star recruit on their roster and say, "Look at who we produce." But the math inside the gym never works for the majority. Even at the most elite prep programs, rosters often carry 12 to 15 players. Yet historically, only 1 or 2 of those players will actually land high-level Division I college offers. What about the other 10 to 13 kids on the bench? They pay full tuition. They are the financial backbone of the entire operation. The kids at the bottom of the roster are effectively subsidizing the massive exposure, travel, and gear of the top prospects. Prep basketball stopped being a developmental environment a long time ago. It became a harsh, unforgiving selection process. The basketball wasn't happening inside a school anymore. The school only existed to host the basketball program. Once money entered the equation at this scale, the system no longer needed to work for everyone. It just needed to keep selling hope. Prep school markets itself as the cure for AAU. More practice, better coaching, individual development. On paper, it sounds perfect. In reality, most prep programs don't develop players any better than the AAU circuit. They just repackage the exact same flawed incentives. At many prep schools, teams play 35 to 45 games in a single season. They play national schedules designed purely for exposure, not for the progression of a teenager's skill set. Travel replaces training, games replace teaching, practice time shrinks to accommodate flights and hotel stays. In some programs, players practice fewer than 10 hours per week during peak season, barely more than an AAU team, despite parents paying private school Ivy League level tuition for development. And just like at AAU, the priorities skew immediately when the ball tips off. The top prospect gets the reps, the freedom to make mistakes, and the patience of the coaching staff. Everyone else, they get structure, which is a polite way of saying they are asked to fit into a rigid box, wait their turn, or leave. Coaches know the reality. One high major D1 commit can justify an entire program's existence to the next crop of paying parents. So development becomes highly selective. If a player stalls, the system never absorbs the responsibility. There is no mandated curriculum, no development benchmarks, no accountability. If a kid doesn't improve, the program just says he wasn't ready. He didn't fit. He lacked the mindset. The prep school basketball model looks incredibly convincing until you actually follow the players past the initial promise. Because when you track these careers long-term, a dark, repetitive pattern appears. And these aren't cautionary outliers. These are typical outcomes for players who were pushed too hard, too fast. Take 𝐀𝐢𝐿. He was an elite prep prospect, a consensus 5-star recruit. He played the brutal national schedule. He had the constant exposure. He and his family did everything the system told them to do. But by the time he reached the collegiate level at Duke, his body was already breaking down. He suffered multiple devastating knee injuries. Why? Because he spent his crucial developmental windows rehabbing instead of improving. His professional career never stabilized, not because he lacked world-class talent, but because the prep environment prioritized competition and exposure long before physical durability. Or look at 7th Woods. He was a viral phenomenon at 14 years old, amplified by prep exposure on national stages. His hoop mixtapes have millions of views. The expectations skyrocketed impossibly early. But when he finally reached the college level at North Carolina, that early physical advantage vanished. He faced reduced minutes, less freedom, and actual structure. His career became a sequence of transfers and shifting role changes. Not because he didn't work hard, but because the prep environment trained him to dominate physically early on, rather than teaching him how to adapt his skill set for the future. And then there's Makur Maker, a highly ranked, massive prep prospect with global exposure who chose a non-traditional college path. The media attention was enormous. The expectations were clear. Yet within 2 seasons, his collegiate career stalled. There was no safety net following him. There was no long-term development runway. Once his viral moment passed, the basketball system simply moved on to the next prospect. Families pay hundreds of thousands of dollars combined over a 2 to 3 year prep career. And what does that investment actually return? According to NCAA data, over 50% of Division I men's basketball players never average even 10 minutes per game across their entire college careers. A massive portion of them transfer down to lower divisions, exit the sport early, or never secure a meaningful role. Prep schools don't emphasize that harsh reality. They emphasize the commitment tweet. They sell the signing day photo. If this happens so often, why does the prep school basketball system keep expanding? Because the system is fully insulated from consequences. Prep programs aren't evaluated on long-term outcomes. There is no governing body tracking how many players actually keep their scholarships, how many transfer down to NAIA, or how many leave the sport quietly with broken bodies and empty bank accounts. There is no report card. The churn isn't a bug in the system. The churn is the feature. Most prep programs operate on one-year enrollment cycles. Players rotate out, new hopeful families rotate in, the tuition resets, the marketing refreshes. From a business perspective, it is a brilliantly efficient machine. From a human development perspective, it is absolutely brutal. Prep school basketball doesn't compete using honesty. It competes using fear. It preys on the fear of missing out, the fear of a kid falling behind their peers, the fear that saying no to an $80,000 tuition bill means closing the door on a child's dream forever. As long as parents believe that this is the only serious path and that staying at a normal public high school means giving up, the system has zero financial incentive to improve. It just needs to keep selling urgency. Prep school basketball doesn't lie loudly, it lies quietly. It lies by omission, by elevating selective success stories while bearing the failures, by never telling families how easily replaceable their sons actually are. And until a player's long-term outcome matters more than a program's marketing, the machine will keep turning. Because for prep basketball to finally slow down, someone would have to stop making millions of dollars off of kids who are forced to grow up way too fast. If you appreciate basketball videos that cut through the hype and explain what actually happens behind the promises and the marketing, you're in the right place. Subscribe and like this video to support the channel, and let me know in the comments what hidden basketball story we should uncover next. Thanks for watching NBA's Hidden History. We'll see you on the next one.